The fire was hot. Too hot. It felt like the air itself was screaming. Inside the grand living room of the biggest mansion in Seoul, everything was turning black and orange. The expensive paintings on the wall were melting. The silk curtains were gone in a flash of bright light. In the middle of the smoke, a man sat in a golden wheelchair. This was CEO Park. He was the most powerful man in the city, but right now he looked small. He coughed as the black smoke filled his lungs. He tried to move his wheels, but they were stuck on a fallen wooden beam. He looked around with wide, terrified eyes. Just 10 seconds ago, the room was full of people. His bodyguards, his best friends, and his beautiful fiancé, Minji. But now, the room was empty. They were all gone. They had run out the door the moment the explosion happened. CEO Park screamed, "Help me. Please. Minji." But no one answered. The roof groaned above him. A giant piece of burning wood was about to fall right on top of him. He closed his eyes, waiting for the end. He was going to die alone. But then, through the roar of the fire, he felt a hand. It wasn't a strong bodyguard's hand. It was small and shaking. He opened his eyes and saw a face covered in soot. It was the quiet nurse. The one with the bad leg. The one nobody ever looked at. Before we see if they survive this deadly fire, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also, comment down below where you are watching from. This is the most important aspect of this story. To understand why this moment was so shocking, we have to go back to the beginning. Life was not easy for Nia. Nia was a young African-American woman living in Korea. She had a kind heart, but her body carried a painful memory. When she was a little girl, she was in a bad accident that left her with a permanent limp in her left leg. Because of this, walking was hard for her. Running was impossible. People often stared at her or whispered mean things when she walked down the street. But Nia never let that stop her. She needed a job to send money back home to her family, so she worked harder than anyone else. She got a job at the Park Mansion. It was a huge, scary house on top of a hill. Her job was to take care of CEO Park. CEO Park was very rich and very handsome, but he was also very mean. 2 years ago, he was in a car crash that paralyzed his legs. He could not walk anymore. Because he was in pain and angry at the world, he yelled at everyone. He threw vases at the wall. He fired maids for making his coffee too cold. Everyone was terrified of him. Everyone except Nia. Every morning, Nia would limp into his room with a warm smile. "Good morning, sir," she would say in her soft voice. CEO Park would usually glare at her. "Get out. You walk too loud. Your limping annoys me," he would shout. But Nia would just nod and quietly clean his room or bring his medicine. She knew he wasn't really angry at her. He was angry that he couldn't walk. She felt sorry for him. The only person CEO Park was nice to was Minji. Minji was his fiancée. She was a famous Korean model, very tall and very beautiful. She always wore expensive dresses and smelled like expensive perfume. Whenever Minji came into the room, CEO Park's face would soften. He thought she was an angel. But Nia knew the truth. One afternoon, Nia was cleaning the hallway outside the study. The door was slightly open. She heard Minji talking on her phone. Minji's voice wasn't sweet like it was when she talked to CEO Park. It was cold and sharp. I know, Minji laughed into the phone. "He is so annoying. He just sits in that chair and complains all day. I can't wait until we get married. Once I get his money, I'm going to put him in a nursing home and enjoy my life. Just a few more months." Nia gasped. She accidentally dropped her cleaning rag. Minji stormed out of the room and saw Nia standing there. Minji's eyes narrowed. She walked up to Nia and poked her hard in the chest. "Did you hear that, you crippled girl?" Minji hissed. Nia looked down at her shoes. I didn't hear anything, Miss Minji." Minji laughed, a cruel sound. "Good. Because if you say one word to him, I will have you fired. Who do you think he will believe? His beautiful future wife, or a limping servant like you?" Minji kicked Nia's bad leg lightly, just enough to make Nia stumble. "Stay out of my way." Nia wanted to tell CEO Park the truth, but she was scared. He loved Minji so much. He would never believe her. So, she kept her mouth shut and just tried to protect him the best she could. Weeks passed, and the day of CEO Park's big birthday party arrived. The mansion was decorated with gold balloons and white flowers. Hundreds of rich and famous people came to the party. There was music, dancing, and huge tables full of food. Nia was not allowed to be at the party. She was told to stay in the kitchen and wash dishes. The head maid told her, "Stay hidden. We don't want the guests to see someone like you limping around. It ruins the mood." Nia nodded and went to the back. Her leg was hurting badly because she had been standing all day, but she didn't complain. Through the kitchen door, she watched CEO Park. He was sitting in his wheelchair in the middle of the living room, wearing a sharp black suit. He looked handsome, but his eyes were sad. Minji was standing next to him, holding a glass of champagne. She was smiling for the cameras, pretending to be the perfect loving wife. She leaned down and kissed CEO Park on the cheek, and everyone clapped. "To my love," Minji shouted. "I would do anything for you." It was all a lie. Nia felt a knot in her stomach. She turned back to the sink to wash a plate. Suddenly, there was a strange smell. It smelled like gas. Nia sniffed the air. It was coming from the stove area. She turned to look, and her eyes went wide. One of the gas pipes behind the big ovens was hissing. A spark from the cooking station flew into the air. "No!" Nia screamed, dropping the plate. Crash! Boom! The explosion shook the whole house. The kitchen doors blew open. A massive ball of fire rolled into the living room. The music stopped. The laughter turned into screaming. The fire spread incredibly fast, eating up the curtains and the carpets. The guests panicked. They pushed and shoved each other to get to the front door. It was chaos. People were trampling over each other. "Fire! Run! Run!" people yelled. Nia was thrown to the ground by the blast. Her ears were ringing. She coughed, trying to stand up. Her bad leg screamed in pain, but she forced herself up. She had to get out. She looked toward the living room door, ready to run to safety. But then she stopped. Through the thick black smoke, she saw him. CEO Park was stuck. The explosion had knocked over a heavy table, blocking his wheelchair. The fire was circling him like a hungry animal. He was coughing and waving his hands. "Minji! Help! Push me!" he screamed. Nia saw Minji. She was standing right by the open front door. She was safe. She looked back at CEO Park. Their eyes met. CEO Park reached his hand out to her. "Minji, please." Minji looked at the fire, then looked at her expensive dress. She looked at CEO Park one last time with a face full of disgust. "I'm not dying for you," she mouthed. Then she turned around and ran out of the house, leaving him behind. CEO Park's hand dropped. His heart broke into a million pieces. He wasn't just going to burn. He was going to die knowing the woman he loved didn't care about him at all. The bodyguards had already fled. The servants were gone. He was completely alone. The heat was scorching his skin. A massive wooden beam from the ceiling cracked. It was directly above his head. It was falling. He closed his eyes. This is it, he thought. Suddenly, a body slammed into him. It wasn't a heavy beam. It was a person. "Hold on," a voice cried out. Nia had not run away. Even though her leg was dragging, even though the fire was burning her arms, she ran into the circle of fire. She grabbed the handles of his wheelchair. "I got you! I got you!" She screamed over the roar of the flames. She pulled with all her strength, yanking the wheelchair back, just as the giant wooden beam crashed down exactly where CEO Park had been sitting a second ago. Sparks flew everywhere. The path to the front door was now blocked by fire. They were trapped. The heat was heavy, like a thick blanket made of fire. Nia coughed hard, covering her mouth with one arm while her other hand gripped the back of CEO Park's wheelchair, so tightly her knuckles turned white. The front door was gone, hidden behind a wall of orange flames. The wooden beam that had crashed down was burning hot, blocking their only easy way out. They were trapped in the middle of the living room, and the fire was getting closer every second. CEO Park looked up at Nia. His face was covered in gray ash, and his eyes were wide with shock. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. Everyone else had run away. His strong bodyguards, his friends, and even Minji, the woman he was supposed to marry, had all left him to die. But here was Nia, the quiet nurse with the bad leg, the one everyone ignored. She was the only one standing between him and the fire. "Why are you here?" CEO Park shouted over the roaring noise of the flames. "Go! Run! You can't save me." Nia shook her head. Her eyes were stinging from the smoke, tears streaming down her face, but she looked determined. "I am not leaving you," she yelled back. Her voice cracked, but it was strong. "We are going out together." She tried to push the wheelchair, but the wheels were stuck on the thick, expensive carpet that was starting to melt. The debris from the ceiling was everywhere. Nia groaned in pain. Her bad leg was throbbing. Every step she took sent a sharp pain shooting up her spine, like someone was stabbing her with a needle. But she bit her lip so hard it bled and pushed harder. "It's stuck!" Nia cried out. She looked around frantically. The fire was eating the curtains now, climbing up the walls toward the second floor. The chandelier above them was swinging dangerously. If that fell, it would crush them both. CEO Park looked at his useless legs. He felt so weak. He had all the money in the world, but he couldn't even stand up to save himself. He grabbed the wheels of his chair and tried to help her, pushing with his arms. "Leave me, Nia. You're going to die because of me." "Shut up," Nia snapped. It was the first time she had ever spoken to him like that. She grabbed the front of his shirt. "I said we are going together." She looked to the left. The hallway to the kitchen was blocked by fire. She looked to the right. The large glass doors that led to the garden were on the other side of the room, but the path was full of burning furniture. It was a dangerous path. If she tripped, or if her leg gave out, they would fall right into the flames. "Hold on tight," Nia said. She took a deep breath of hot, smoky air. Ignoring the pain in her leg, she shoved the wheelchair with all her might. They started moving. They weaved through the burning room. The heat was unbearable. It felt like their skin was baking. A piece of the ceiling fell right in front of them with a loud crash, sending sparks flying onto Nia's uniform. She quickly brushed them off, not stopping for a second. "Watch out!" CEO Park screamed. A tall bookshelf was tipping over. Nia yanked the wheelchair back just in time. The heavy shelf smashed onto the floor where they had been a second ago. The books caught fire instantly. They were running out of time. The air was getting thin. It was hard to breathe. CEO Park started to cough violently. His head was spinning. He was breathing in too much smoke. "Stay with me, sir. Stay with me," Nia begged. She could see the glass doors to the garden. They were only 20 feet away. It looked like a mile. Her bad leg dragged on the floor. She was limping heavily now. Her body was screaming at her to stop, to lie down, to give up. But she thought about her family back home. She thought about how CEO Park, despite being mean, was still a human being who didn't deserve to burn alive. She gathered every ounce of strength she had left. They reached the glass doors. Nia reached for the handle, but it was locked. Of course, it was locked. "Move back," Nia yelled. She grabbed a heavy bronze statue from a side table. She lifted it over her head, her arms shaking. With a loud grunt, she threw it at the glass. Smash! The glass shattered into a million pieces. The fresh air from the garden rushed in, cool and sweet. It felt like heaven, but the fire behind them was angry. It roared louder, as if it was mad they were escaping. A sudden blast of pressure from the kitchen explosion pushed them forward. "Go! Go!" CEO Park yelled. Nia pushed the wheelchair over the broken glass. The tires crunched loudly. They were halfway out. They were almost safe. But the house wasn't done with them yet. As they crossed the threshold onto the stone patio of the garden, a terrible cracking sound came from above. CEO Park looked up. The heavy stone overhang above the patio door was coming loose. The fire had melted the supports. A massive chunk of concrete and burning wood was falling directly toward CEO Park's head. He couldn't move fast enough. He threw his hands up, bracing for the impact. "No!" Nia screamed. She didn't think. She didn't hesitate. She threw herself forward. She didn't push the wheelchair. There wasn't enough time. Instead, she leaped over the back of the chair and covered CEO Park's body with her own. She curled around him like a human shield, protecting his head and chest. Crash! The burning beam and the concrete hit them. It didn't hit CEO Park directly because Nia took the blow. The heavy wood slammed into her back. The burning embers seared her skin. The force of the impact knocked the wheelchair over, spilling both of them onto the grass of the garden. They rolled away from the burning house. They stopped on the cool, wet lawn, far enough away from the flames. For a moment, there was only the sound of the fire crackling and the distant sirens of fire trucks coming up the hill. CEO Park was lying on his back, staring up at the night sky. He was alive. He gasped for air, his lungs burning. He blinked, realizing he wasn't dead. He wasn't burned. He slowly turned his head. "Nia," he whispered. Nia was lying next to him on the grass. She was face down. Her nurse's uniform was torn and scorched. Her back, where the beam had hit her, looked bad. She wasn't moving. She wasn't making a sound. "Nia!" CEO Park screamed. He tried to crawl toward her. His legs wouldn't work, so he dragged himself with his arms, pulling his body across the grass until he reached her. "Nia, wake up." He grabbed her shoulder and gently turned her over. Her face was covered in soot and blood from a cut on her forehead. Her eyes were closed. She looked so small and fragile. "Please," CEO Park cried. Tears mixed with the ash on his face. "Please don't be dead. You can't be dead. You saved me." In the distance, by the front gate, the guests were watching. They had all run to the bottom of the hill. Minji was there, standing next to her friends. She was holding her phone, recording the fire for her social media. She looked annoyed that her dress was dirty. Suddenly, one of the bodyguards pointed. "Look! Someone made it out." Minji squinted. She saw two figures on the grass. She saw the wheelchair overturned. She saw a man dragging himself over a woman. Her eyes went wide. It was CEO Park. He was alive. "He's alive," Minji whispered. She didn't look happy. She looked scared. If he was alive, he knew she had left him. Back on the lawn, CEO Park checked Nia's pulse. It was weak. Very weak. Her breathing was shallow. The heavy beam had hurt her badly. She had taken 4 bullets worth of pain for him. Fire, glass, impact, and burns. All to save a man who had been nothing but mean to her. "Help!" CEO Park screamed toward the gate, his voice full of rage and desperation. "Somebody help her." Nia's eyelids fluttered. She let out a small, painful groan. Her eyes opened just a tiny bit. She looked at CEO Park, her vision blurry. She saw him crying over her. You're safe?" She whispered, her voice barely a breath. "Yes, I'm safe because of you," CEO Park sobbed, holding her hand. "Don't close your eyes, Nia. The ambulance is coming." "I'm tired," Nia whispered. Her hand went limp in his grip. Her eyes rolled back, and she went completely still again. "Nia. No. No, no, no." CEO Park shook her, but she didn't wake up. The sirens were getting louder, flashing red lights bouncing off the trees, but to CEO Park, it felt like they were moving in slow motion. He looked back at his burning mansion, then at the woman who had sacrificed everything for him. And then he looked at the gate, where Minji was standing. His sadness turned into something else. Something dark and dangerous. Pure anger. But right now, Nia wasn't breathing. Beep, beep, beep. The sound was rhythmic and annoying. CEO Park opened his eyes slowly. The first thing he saw was white. A white ceiling. White walls. White sheets. The smell of medicine and strong cleaner filled his nose. He wasn't in the burning living room anymore. He wasn't on the wet grass. He was in a hospital bed. He tried to sit up, but his body felt heavy. His chest hurt when he breathed. He looked down at his hands. They were bandaged. He touched his face. There was a bandage on his cheek, too. He was alive. "Oh, you're awake," a high-pitched voice cried out. CEO Park turned his head. Sitting in the chair next to his bed was Minji. She looked perfect. Her hair was done, her makeup was fresh, and she was wearing a silk dress. There was no soot on her face. There were no burns on her arms. She jumped up and grabbed his hand, squeezing it tight. "Oh, my poor darling. I was so worried," Minji wailed. She started to cry, but CEO Park noticed something strange. Her eyes weren't red. There were no real tears rolling down her cheeks. It looked like she was acting in one of her commercials. "I thought I lost you." CEO Park stared at her. His throat was dry and scratchy from the smoke. He tried to speak. "Water," he rasped. Minji quickly poured him a glass of water and held the straw to his lips. He drank greedily. When he finished, he looked at her with narrow eyes. His memory was a little fuzzy, but it was coming back. "What happened?" he asked, his voice rough. "How did I get out?" Minji puffed out her chest. She smiled a brave, sad smile. It was terrible, honey. Everyone ran away. The bodyguards, the servants, they all left you. Cowards. But I couldn't leave you. I just couldn't. She squeezed his hand harder. I ran back into the fire. I grabbed your wheelchair. It was so heavy, and the fire was so hot, but I pulled you out. I saved you, darling. I risked my life for you. CEO Park listened quietly. He looked at Minji's smooth, perfect arms. He looked at her clean fingernails. You pulled me out, he asked slowly. Yes. Minji nodded fast. I dragged you all the way to the garden. That's why my back hurts so much today. But I don't care about the pain. As long as you are safe, I am happy. CEO Park closed his eyes. He replayed the memory in his mind. The fire. The heat. The feeling of being trapped. He remembered the person who saved him. He remembered small, rough hands, not Minji's soft, manicured ones. He remembered the person grunting with effort. And most importantly, he remembered the sound of the person running. Thump. Drag. Thump. Drag. The person who saved him had a limp. He opened his eyes again. He looked at Minji standing there in her high heels. She wasn't limping. She was standing perfectly straight. Where is my phone? CEO Park asked. His voice was cold. Minji looked confused. Your phone? Honey, you need to rest. The doctor said. Give me my phone. CEO Park said each word clearly and sharply. The air in the room got heavy. Minji flinched. She reached into her purse and pulled out his smartphone. It had a crack on the screen, but it worked. Here, she said, pouting. I was just trying to help. Leave me, CEO Park said. I need to call my assistant, Mr. Lee. Alone. Minji hesitated. But the press is outside. They want to take pictures of us. The hero couple, who survived the fire. We need to give a statement. Get out, CEO Park roared. The machine monitoring his heart rate started beeping faster. Minji jumped back. Okay. Don't be so grumpy. I saved your life, you know. She rolled her eyes and stomped out of the room, slamming the door. As soon as she was gone, CEO Park dialed Mr. Lee's number. Mr. Lee answered on the first ring. Boss, you're awake. Thank God. Mr. Lee sounded like he was actually crying. I am on my way to the hospital right now. Mr. Lee, CEO Park said, cutting him off. I need you to do something for me. Right now. Don't ask questions. Anything, sir. Access the cloud server for the mansion's security cameras. I want the footage from the living room and the garden during the fire. Send it to my phone immediately. Yes, sir. Give me 2 minutes. CEO Park hung up. He stared at the white ceiling. His heart was pounding in his chest. He hoped he was wrong. He hoped Minji wasn't lying. Because if she was lying, it meant the person who really saved him was the person he had treated like garbage for 2 years. Ping. His phone buzzed. A video file appeared on the screen. CEO Park's hand shook a little as he pressed play. The video was grainy and black and white, but clear enough. He saw the explosion. He saw the chaos. He saw the moment everyone ran. He watched Minji. In the video, Minji didn't look back. She didn't hesitate. She grabbed her designer purse from the sofa. She looked at CEO Park screaming for help. She made a face of disgust, turned around, and ran out the front door faster than anyone else. CEO Park felt a cold rage spreading through his body. She left him. She left him to burn and only saved her bag. Then he saw the other figure. From the back of the room, a small woman appeared. She was limping badly. It was Nia. The video showed her struggling through the smoke. It showed her pushing the heavy debris off the wheelchair. It showed her grabbing him. He watched as she struggled to push him, her bad leg dragging on the floor. He watched her smash the glass door. And then the garden camera view. He watched the beam falling. He watched Nia throw herself over him. He saw the heavy would smash into her back, crushing her into the ground. He saw her body go limp while he was safe underneath her. CEO Park paused the video. He couldn't breathe. It wasn't Minji. It was never Minji. It was Nia. The nurse he yelled at. The nurse he called slow and annoying. She had taken the blow meant for him. Just then the door opened. Mr. Lee walked in, looking out of breath. He was holding a stack of papers. Sir, Mr. Lee said, bowing low. I saw the video too. It's shocking. CEO Park looked at Mr. Lee. His eyes were red, but not from smoke this time. Where is she? Mr. Lee looked confused. Who, sir? Miss Min-ji is in the hallway talking to reporters. No. CEO Park slammed his fist on the bed. Nia. The nurse. The one who saved me. Where is she? Is she in this hospital? Is she okay? Mr. Lee's face went pale. He looked down at his shoes. He fidgeted with his papers. Well, sir, there was a complication. What complication? CEO Park demanded. Speak. Well, when the ambulance arrived, Miss Min-ji took charge. Mr. Lee explained nervously. She told the paramedics that you were the priority. She told them Nia was just a servant who tripped. CEO Park's hands curled into fists. Anne. Miss Min-ji fired her on the spot, sir, Mr. Lee whispered. She told the hospital staff that the fire was Nia's fault. She said Nia left the gas on. Because Nia is, well, because she is just a foreign worker and has no family here to defend her. They believed Miss Min-ji. CEO Park felt like he was going to vomit. So where is she? This hospital is a VIP hospital, sir, Mr. Lee said quietly. They don't treat people without insurance or money. Since she was fired, she lost her insurance. They transferred her. Transferred her where? To the city public clinic on the other side of town. It's not a good place, sir. It's for the homeless and the poor. It's very dirty and understaffed. CEO Park ripped the heart monitor sensor off his finger. The machine flatlined with a loud beep, but he didn't care. He ripped the 4-needle out of his arm. Blood dripped onto the white sheets. Sir, what are you doing? Mr. Lee panicked, rushing forward. You are injured. You need to rest. Rest. CEO Park growled. His voice was like a tiger's. He swung his legs over the side of the bed. He couldn't walk, but his upper body was strong. My savior is rotting in a dirty clinic because of that witch. And you want me to rest? He grabbed Mr. Lee's collar and pulled him close. Get my car. The big one. And get my security team. The real team. Not the cowards who ran away. Where are we going, sir? Mr. Lee asked, trembling. We are going to the clinic, CEO Park said, his eyes burning with a fire scarier than the one in his house. And then, I am going to destroy Min-ji's life. But sir, the press. Min-ji is telling them right now that she saved you. Let her talk, CEO Park spat. The higher she climbs, the harder she will fall. Get the wheelchair. Now. The city public clinic smelled like old mops and sickness. The walls were peeling, and the floor was sticky. It was very loud. Babies were crying, and people were coughing. This was a place for people who had no money and nowhere else to go. In a dark corner of the hallway, on a thin, hard cot, lay Nia. She was in bad shape. Her back was wrapped in dirty bandages. Her forehead was burning with a high fever. She hadn't eaten in 2 days because the nurses ignored her. She was thirsty, so thirsty. She tried to lick her cracked lips. Water, please, Nia whispered. A grumpy nurse walked by and rolled her eyes. Quiet down. You don't have insurance, so you wait your turn. We are busy. Nia closed her eyes. A tear rolled down her cheek. She thought she was going to die here, alone in this smelly hallway. She thought about her mom back home. I'm sorry, Mama, she thought. I tried my best. Suddenly, the ground shook. Outside the clinic, the sound of heavy engines roared. Vroom, vroom. It wasn't the sound of an ambulance. It was the sound of power. 10 black luxury SUVs screeched to a halt right in front of the clinic's dirty glass doors. The doors flew open. 20 men in expensive black suits jumped out. They looked like an army. They lined up in 2 rows, making a path. The people in the waiting room stopped coughing. The grumpy nurse dropped her clipboard. Everyone stared. A ramp extended from the biggest car. Mr. Lee pushed a wheelchair down the ramp. In the chair sat CEO Park. He was wearing a hospital gown with a trench coat thrown over his shoulders. His face was pale, but his eyes were blazing with anger. He looked like a king entering a garbage dump. Where is she? CEO Park's voice was deep and scary. It echoed off the walls. The head doctor ran out, sweating. Sir, you can't be here. Who are you looking for? Nia, CEO Park growled. The nurse you threw in the trash. The doctor swallowed hard. He pointed a shaking finger toward the dark hallway. She is over there. Bed 4. CEO Park didn't wait. He rolled his wheelchair faster than Mr. Lee could push. He knocked over a tray of instruments. Clatter. He didn't care. He reached the hallway and saw the thin figure on the cot. Nia. He reached out and touched her hand. It was boiling hot. She was burning up with infection. Nia opened her eyes. The room was spinning. She saw a blurry face. Sir, she whispered. Am I dreaming? No, CEO Park said, his voice shaking. I am here. I came for you. He looked at her dirty bandages and the flies buzzing around her. His heart broke. Then it turned into pure rage. He turned to the doctor. You let the woman who saved my life rot in a hallway? You didn't give her medicine? She couldn't pay. The doctor stammered. Mr. Lee. CEO Park shouted. By this clinic. By the whole building. And then fire everyone. Fire them all. Yes, sir. Mr. Lee shouted back. CEO Park looked at his bodyguards. Pick her up. Gently. If you hurt her, you're fired. 2 strong men lifted Nia, as if she were made of glass. They carried her out of the smelly clinic and into the soft, leather back seat of the most expensive car. CEO Park got in beside her. He took a cold bottle of water and held it to her lips. Drink, he whispered. We are going home. They didn't go back to the burnt mansion. They went to CEO Park's secret penthouse in the tallest building in Seoul. It was beautiful. It had walls made of glass that looked over the whole city. He hired the best doctors in the world. They came to the penthouse with silver trays and expensive medicine. They cleaned Nia's burns. They gave her soft pillows and warm soup. For 3 weeks, CEO Park didn't go to work. He didn't care about his company. He sat by Nia's bed every single day. When Nia finally woke up properly, the pain was gone. She felt soft silk sheets against her skin. She looked around the huge room. CEO Park was sleeping in his wheelchair next to her bed, his head resting on her mattress. She moved her hand. He woke up instantly. You're awake. He smiled. It was a real smile. Nia had never seen him smile before. It made him look younger, softer. Where am I? Nia asked. You are safe, he said. He took her hand and kissed it. Nia blushed. Her heart started beating fast. You saved me, Nia. Now it is my turn to take care of you. Over the next month, a beautiful thing happened. As Nia's burns healed, CEO Park's heart healed too. He stopped yelling. He stopped throwing things. He learned to say thank you and please. They spent every day together. Nia, even with her healing back and her limp, insisted on helping him with his physical therapy. Come on, sir, she would say, standing in front of him in the gym room. Try to lift your leg. Just 1 inch. I can't, CEO Park would sigh, looking frustrated. It's useless. I will never walk. I have a bad leg too, remember? Nia smiled, tapping her left leg. But I still walked into a fire for you. You can do this. Her words gave him strength. He gritted his teeth and tried. Day by day, he got stronger. He wasn't doing it for himself anymore. He was doing it for her. He wanted to be the man who could stand beside her. One evening, they were watching TV in the living room. Suddenly, a news report came on. Breaking news. The hero model Minji announces her wedding date to CEO Park. The screen showed Minji smiling at cameras. She was wearing a white dress. Yes, Minji told the reporters. My fiancé is recovering from the fire. I saved him, you know. Our love is stronger than fire. We will be married at the grand gala this Saturday. Nia looked at the TV, then down at her lap. She felt small again. She is very beautiful, Nia whispered. And she is famous. The world thinks she is the hero. CEO Park grabbed the remote and turned the TV off. The room went silent. She is a liar, CEO Park said darkly. And she is ugly on the inside. You, Nia, you are the most beautiful woman I have ever seen. Nia looked up, shocked. But I have scars. I have a limp. I am just a maid. CEO Park rolled his wheelchair closer. He reached out and touched her cheek. Your scars are medals of honor. Your limp shows how strong you are. And you are not a maid. You are the queen of this house. He leaned in close. Nia held her breath. He kissed her. It was soft and sweet. It felt like electricity. I have a plan, CEO Park whispered against her lips. Minji wants a show? We will give her a show. For the rest of the week, the penthouse was busy. Tailors came in to measure Nia for a dress. But not just any dress. A dress made of gold silk that covered her scars but showed her beauty. CEO Park was busy too. But he did his work in secret. He locked the gym door. Nia could hear loud thuds and grunts coming from inside, but he wouldn't let her in. Saturday arrived. The grand gala. It was the biggest event of the year. All the cameras were there. The red carpet was rolled out. Minji was on the stage in a huge ballroom. She was wearing a diamond tiara. She grabbed the microphone. Thank you all for coming. Minji squealed. Tonight is a special night. My fiancé, CEO Park, will come out soon to thank me for saving his life. The crowd clapped. Minji looked like a princess. She waited for CEO Park to roll out in his wheelchair so she could pose for photos with him. Ladies and gentlemen, the announcer boomed. Please welcome CEO Park. The double doors at the top of the grand staircase opened. But nobody came out. The room went quiet. Minji looked confused. She laughed nervously. He must be stuck. You know, the wheelchair. Suddenly, all the lights in the ballroom went out. Click. Pitch black. The crowd gasped. A single, bright spotlight turned on. It pointed to the top of the stairs. Standing there was a figure. It wasn't a wheelchair. It was a man. Standing tall. Standing strong. Next to him was a woman in a gold dress that shined like the sun. She looked like royalty. Minji dropped her microphone. Thud. CEO Park took a step forward. His legs shook a little, but he didn't fall. He took another step. And another. He was walking. He held Nia's hand tightly. Together, they started to walk down the stairs toward the shocked crowd. Minji's face turned white as a ghost. She knew her game was over. Chapter 5. The ballroom was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Hundreds of people, rich CEOs, famous actors, and reporters, held their breath. They stared up at the top of the stairs. There stood CEO Park. The man everyone thought was crippled forever. He was standing tall in a black tuxedo. He looked strong. He looked powerful. And holding his hand was Nia. She wore a long, flowing dress made of gold silk. It shined under the spotlight. She didn't look like a poor nurse anymore. She looked like a queen. Minji, standing on the stage below, felt her knees shake. No, she whispered to herself. This is impossible. He can't walk. He's paralyzed. CEO Park took the first step down. His legs shook a little bit. It was hard work. Sweat formed on his forehead. But Nia squeezed his hand. She whispered, You can do it. Lean on me. He took another step. Then another. Step. 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 The sound of his dress shoes hitting the marble stairs echoed in the room. He wasn't walking perfectly. He was a little stiff. But he was walking. The crowd started to whisper. Is that a miracle? Who is that woman in gold? Look at Minji's face. She looks terrified. Minji saw the cameras turning away from her. They were pointing at CEO Park and Nia. She panicked. She had to fix this. She put a fake smile on her face and ran toward the bottom of the stairs. Honey, Minji screamed, holding her arms out. You're walking. Oh, my love. My love cured you. Come to me. She tried to run up the stairs to hug him, to block Nia from the view. She wanted a photo of him hugging her, so she could stay famous. CEO Park stopped. He looked down at Minji. His eyes were cold as ice. Don't touch me, he said. His voice wasn't loud, but it was so scary that Minji froze in place. CEO Park and Nia finished walking down the stairs. They walked right past Minji and went up to the stage. CEO Park took the microphone. He stood in the center of the stage, breathing hard but standing proud. Nia stood right next to him, holding his arm to support him. Ladies and gentlemen, CEO Park said. The room went silent again. Tonight, my ex-fiancé told you a story. She told you she is a hero. She told you she saved me from the fire. Minji ran to the side of the stage. Don't listen to him. He is confused. The smoke hurt his brain, she yelled. CEO Park ignored her. He pointed to the giant screen behind him. I don't like stories, he said. I like the truth. He snapped his fingers. The giant screen flickered. The security video from the night of the fire began to play. It was huge. Everyone could see it clearly. The crowd watched in shock. They saw the fire start. They saw Minji grab her purse. They saw her look at CEO Park screaming for help. They saw her face of disgust as she ran away, leaving him to die. Gasps! The sound of shock filled the room. People covered their mouths. Then the video changed. They saw Nia. They saw her limping through the smoke. They saw her struggle. They saw her fighting the fire. They saw her throw her body over CEO Park to save him from the falling beam. The video ended. The screen went black. CEO Park looked at the crowd. Minji left me to burn. She only saved her designer bag. He pointed at Nia. This woman who is nothing, this woman who lives in pain every day, she walked into hell to save me. The crowd turned to look at Minji. They weren't smiling anymore. They looked angry. Boo! Someone shouted. Liar! Another person yelled. Shame on you. Minji tried to hide her face. No, it's fake. It's CGI, she screamed, but nobody believed her. Security guards walked onto the stage. They grabbed Minji by her arms. Let me go. I am a star, she shrieked as they dragged her out of the ballroom. Her career was over. Her reputation was destroyed. She had lost everything. When the doors closed behind her, the room felt lighter. CEO Park turned to Nia. The angry look on his face disappeared. His eyes became soft and full of love. Nia, he said into the microphone. Everyone leaned in to listen. For 2 years, I was blind. I had eyes, but I didn't see you. I only saw my pain. I treated you badly. But you saw me. Nia's eyes filled with tears. Her gold dress sparkled. I just did my job, sir, she whispered. No, CEO Park shook his head. You did more than that. You gave me my life back. And then, you gave me the courage to walk again. He let go of Nia's hand. He took a deep breath. He moved his bad leg back. Slowly, painfully, but with great determination, the powerful Korean CEO lowered himself down on one knee. The crowd went wild. Oh my God, people cheered. Nia put her hands over her mouth. She was crying now. CEO Park pulled a small black velvet box from his pocket. He opened it. Inside was a diamond ring. It wasn't just a clear diamond. It was a rare yellow diamond, the color of the fire that had brought them together. Nia, CEO Park said, his voice trembling with emotion. I don't want a perfect wife. I don't want a model. I want the woman who held my hand when the world was burning. I want you. Will you marry me? Nia looked at him. She looked at the man who used to yell at her, now kneeling before her with nothing but love in his eyes. She looked at the crowd. Nobody was laughing at her limp. Nobody was staring at her scars. They were cheering for her. She nodded. Yes, she choked out. Yes, I will. CEO Park slid the ring onto her finger. He grabbed her hands and used them to pull himself up. He stood tall again. He pulled her close and kissed her. Confetti exploded from the ceiling. Gold and white paper rained down on them. The photographers flashed their cameras like crazy. It was the picture of the year, the miracle CEO and his hero bride. 6 months later, the sun was shining on the garden of the new Park mansion. It was a bright, happy day. Nia sat on a bench, laughing. She was wearing casual clothes, looking happy and healthy. Her limp was still there, but she didn't hide it anymore. She was proud of who she was. CEO Park walked across the grass toward her. He was using a cane, but he was walking on his own 2 feet. He wasn't paralyzed anymore. He sat down next to her and put his arm around her. What are you thinking about? He asked. Nia rested her head on his shoulder. I was thinking about the fire, she said softly. It took everything from us that night. The house, the furniture, the paintings. It took the trash out, CEO Park laughed. It took the fake friends and the lies away. He kissed her forehead. And it gave me you. So, I think it was a fair trade. Nia smiled. She looked down at her stomach. She placed her hand gently over it. Well, she whispered, it's going to give us something else too. CEO Park froze. He looked at her hand on her stomach. His eyes went wide. Wait, really? Are you? Nia nodded, her smile shining brighter than the sun. We're going to have a baby. CEO Park let out a shout of joy that echoed across the whole city. He hugged her tight, careful of her back, careful of their future. They had gone through the fire, but they hadn't burned. Instead, like gold, the fire had only made them brighter, stronger, and more precious. The end. Thank you for watching this story. If you enjoyed seeing Minji get what she deserved and seeing Nia get her happy ending, please smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications so you never miss another amazing story like this one. Support our growth so we can keep bringing you the best Afro-Korean heart stories.